Welcome back to my personal top 10 favorite Godzilla films. Now, I'm sure with many this will be an odd choice to be so low on the list, but please, I will explain that later. Anyways, here it is. Go Go Godzilla! Well, Gojira in this case. Yes, this is the very first film in this amazing franchise. For those of you who don't know, there are actually two versions of this movie. Gojira is the Japanese version that was finally released in America on DVD and Blu-ray in 2006, which was most people's first time ever seeing this version. The original American version, however, was released in 1956, 2 years after the original film, retitled Godzilla, King of the Monsters. This was a heavily edited version with the inclusion of American actor Raymond Burr. These extra scenes were filmed and spliced into the movie so that Americans would go and see a foreign film. I'm reviewing the original and superior Japanese version. This film was a very serious view on nuclear weapons and treated it as a disaster film. The movie begins with just a blank screen with footsteps and Gojira's iconic roar. Several ships are sunk in the beginning of the film. A survivor makes his way back to a small village on an island. An old wise man says that the shipwrecks and lack of fish could only be caused by one thing and one thing only: Gojira, an ancient monster that will eat humanity for changing its ways and forgetting its old traditions. After that, Gojira makes his first attack, in which we only see his feet crushing homes with ease. A research team is then sent to investigate the damages and cause. After hearing some booming footsteps, we finally get our first look at our iconic, legendary monster, Godzilla. Scientists explain that Gojira must be a creature who survived by feeding underwater, but his habitat must have changed due to nuclear detonations and has actually absorbed some nuclear energy. He evolved from a creature between marine reptiles and terrestrial animals into a monster. Gojira is made public in the newspapers, and a depth charge attack is ordered to destroy Gojira. Duh, it doesn't work. A professor even goes against everyone else's thoughts and thinks that Gojira should be studied and not destroyed yet. I mean, he survived some nuclear attacks. We should try to figure out how that happened. Anyways, eventually one of the main characters, Emiko, goes to Dr. Sarazawa's workshop, where he shows her his research. She is horrified and promises to keep it a secret. Gojira finally attacks and destroys hundreds of city blocks. Eventually, Gojira leaves and we see a horrible, desolated city with hundreds injured in the hospital. Emiko finally spills the beans on Dr. Sarazawa's research, the oxygen destroyer. With a drop of the oxygen destroyer in water, the subject dies of asphyxiation and the remains are then liquefied. Emiko and Ogata visit Dr. Sarazawa and beg to use the oxygen destroyer on Godzilla. Dr. Sarazawa is hesitant because he doesn't want it to be a weapon. He believes it could be worse than an atomic bomb. He wants to find a good cause for it. After seeing the newsreel of destruction that Gojira left, Dr. Sarazawa reconsiders. Both Ogata and Dr. Sarazawa dive into the ocean to use the oxygen destroyer. Ogata is then pulled up, but Dr. Sarazawa cut his line to die with his research, so it can never be used as a weapon again. Both Dr. Sarazawa and Gojira are killed. A professor then warns that another Gojira could be created with continued nuclear tests. This movie does feel like a real disaster. The hospital scene is quite believable, and the young choir group singing, it's really unsettling, actually. It would be a whole lot more unsettling if this girl actually pretended to sing. The city destruction in this film looks great and Gojira looks awesome. The filmmakers used low angles to give us a very good viewpoint of actual people in the disaster. It also shows just how large Gojira is. Everything the military uses does nothing to Gojira. He is an unstoppable force of nature. And actually, some of the tension from the film comes that while Godzilla is attacking, it'll zoom in on his face and he'll just be breathing. and that's really unsettling. That we know this is a force of nature, but it's also a tangible thing. It's a walking hurricane. Now, in my opinion, I do love this movie, but it has not aged very well. The movie does seem to drag on in parts, and also, this is not a photo of the scene that we saw of Gojira. That looks like a painting of him in a pose that he never did. I don't know why they didn't just take a, screenshot of the film and have that be the picture, print it out. I don't know, maybe that was too expensive back then. Also, I've never noticed this odd cut of Emiko standing up. It looks like it's from two different takes. Has anyone else noticed this, or is this just in my version that I own? Overall, this is a very good film, but I feel it's not as enjoyable as future installments. This movie did exactly what it wanted to do, but I just feel it hasn't aged well, much like most older films. Well, come back next time when Godzilla tries to get some breakfast.